My roommate, Chris, who was actually working with your guitar player, Tom, told you that I wanted to make you a snare drum. And you then came down to the shop and we designed your snare drum from there.
Yes.
That was
the 7x12.
The 7x12.
I didn't know one person playing a drum that size at that time. It was super high in pitch, but it still had enough meat because it was 7 inches deep. We'd already recorded most of Tragic Kingdom at that point, and I think the last song we tracked was Spiderwebs, and I used that snare drum for that song.
Building the first Tragic Kingdom drum kit was definitely in the garage, and it was the green Sparkle one. And we were all so stoked to get this kit going. Adrian had become a buddy of ours, and No Doubt was coming up, and you were hearing it all over the radio and MTV, and got it all built up, had it all set up in the garage, and had him come over. It was a surprise that it was all finished.
I was very grateful to go from 6 months prior to that to buying used cymbals out of the recycler to having a drum set hand built for me was a big, big fucking deal.
Still have that kit today.
Yeah, it's in my recording studio.
So it popped a lot of attention, bright green. Building that kit was definitely a huge high point for me and everybody working on it over there.
When we graduated to arenas in 1997, you guys built me a Orange Sparkle drum set with compact toms. They were very compact.
These guys are getting full. You guys are getting big production now. Things had gotten, huge. So there was a look, you know what I mean?
There was a look.
There was a look, and it was awesome to...
That drum set was custom painted by a car painter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the car painter to do the Orange Sparkle lacquer.
And I love that drum set. I still have it. It's going to be in Vegas when we play the Sphere, but it's not going to be on stage. It's going to be in the pop-up store. And so a duplicate kit of that is being built right now.
The Tangerine Sparkle 2.0
yes.
for this.
And what are the changes?
The changes on this kit versus the original will be, the rack toms will be 1 inch deeper, the bass drum will be 2 inches shorter, and it will have a double wide hoop on the front
that's
of the
right.
bass drum.
That bass drum was like...
Yeah, the bass drum was big. We're gonna give you a break. It's been a few years. We'll give you some slack too,
Thank you.
Move a little less air, you know what I mean?
All right.
But it'll still have a cool look.
Daniel was really in the community of up-and-coming bands. He had a knack for spotting bands that had a sound with great drummers, and a lot of them were playing Orange County drums before they, peaked and before they became larger, successful acts. Chad Sexton from 311, Taylor Hawkins, John Otto from Limp Bizkit. There were a lot of bands that Daniel he saw something in them. And that's how he approached me. He saw something in No Doubt.
We would, get them drums, we'd use their ideas, we'd make things more elaborate and crazy looking to draw attention to their band, to them as a drummer. Drummer's always in the back, the guitar player's always getting the spotlight. This was something to bring your drum set, your sound, and your look to the forefront. I grew up on a Tommy Lee world where 11-year-old Daniel definitely thought all of the, twirling drum kits and elaborate drum kits were something, and I wanted to take that to a next level.
The tradition of OCDP is there are no limitations. And so because of the lack of limitations, some of the soundscape options are beyond what some manufacturers offer. And I would also say that the quality control, especially if you put a drum in front of Daniel Jensen, is quite high. I mean, I remember when they would take sandpaper to the inside of the shell, it would be soft as a baby's bottom. It seemed ridiculous to me at the time, yet I get it. I understand it.
You would have skinnier toms, you would have longer bass drums. We did double wide bass drum hoops. We would take metal and wood and collaborate those together. We'd do acrylic and metal also, where you would have like a Black Beauty center with, maple top and bottom or acrylic. We would do hybrid kits, different variations of plies, different size vents. We did fur, we did all kinds of like weird snake skins and alligators and ostrich. And we do all the real metals. And name it, we did it. There was nothing that we weren't afraid to give it a shot, The nice thing about all the new stuff, it's definitely back to a more of a boutique vibe, which is what OCDP started at. Even looking at like the kit we have here, the cool fade from the purple to the blue, size-wise, the toms in this day and age are more common than it would have been back then. But definitely, with the color and the sizes, gives you more of the old school OCDP vibe. Snare drums, there's a great assortment. Right now, it's coming out to start with 6 snare drums in various metals, woods, and acrylics. You've got the copper one, which has a great bite, but yet some warmth. The acrylic, it has a fade and a fog onto it with a stain. The steel one has an awesome nuobium-looking rainbow effect to all the hardware on it. The aluminum's great, super crispy, dry. The birch snare's got great bite. You definitely get that warmer, crisp attack on it. And I really think people that are fans of the brand will love what they used to love about it back in the day with the latest new versions of it now.
Right around 2001, I started playing acrylic drums. These toms have a lot of sustain, and the acrylic is helpful in that way. And I just think they're really cool looking. So this snare right here is made of copper. It's quite heavy. And another thing that I dig about it is that the hoop is extra thick and tall. It has the old school kind of, I don't know what the term for it is, but it kind of rounds off, but it's bigger than I've seen before. And I'm playing rim shots 99% of the time. And so this type of rim, I'm digging a lot. When I pulled this snare drum, I was thinking, this is great. I could play this every night for sure. I've recorded in this place quite a bit, mostly with No Doubt, but a couple other things as well. And I love this room, especially this room. It just looks cool, sounds cool. A lot of good memories here from especially late 90s and early 2000s. Daniel Jensen can tell you there were a lot of bands that came through here in the 90s that were playing OCDP kits. It was an exciting time for the drum company, and it's awesome to see new kits coming this way, especially when they look and play like this. With
Sexton and Adrian and Otto in this very studio right here, we did a lot of recordings. The Significant Other album was Limp Bizkit was done here. 311 Blue album, some No Doubt songs. A lot of stuff in this great studio. Sounded awesome. We come here, bring 20, 30 snare drums, and just go nuts with getting all kinds of new and unique sounds that weren't exactly around at the time, and bringing it to the forefront of music that was in the mid-90s into the 2000s.
Once I started to experiment away from the 7x12 green snare drum, and I started playing larger drums. And the one that I probably toured with the most in the last 15 years was this brass drum right here. What I liked about that drum is it had a good ring to it, a lot of sustain, and I could crank it up to get nice pitch, but it had a fuller body. And that was built by the late Jeremy Berman, rest in peace. It's a wonderful drum. And then this is a signature snare. This was the second signature snare that Guitarcenter wanted to do. And, of course, it's a flattering thing when someone wants to do an instrument and put your name on it. And so we thought, let's come up with a wrap that we haven't seen on something. And I'm a pretty colorful, animated person, and so I thought, well, let's, instead of just doing gray and black, let's do some pink in there, and that's how we arrived at this. One of the earlier OCDP snares that the shop came up with was this 20-ply snare drum. And in the 90s, I don't know anybody who was making 20-ply snares. Maybe somebody was, but I hadn't seen it. And with the extra plies, it just brings up the pitch. And you throw a die-cast tube on there, and you have a mean snare drum. And that pink one, it wasn't for everything, but man, when I hit it, it just cut through any music.
I mean, working with Guitarcenter on all the relaunch of all this stuff's been great. I mean, Adrian and I went down to headquarters and talked to everybody, and they had showed us what they had, you know, and ideas, and we would critique and give our opinions of stuff, and he'd play stuff and be like, oh, this is great, but can we do something like this? Can we change that? I would be like, you know, hey, what about this color or this depth? And they were very perceptive to listening to stuff we did. We got cool stuff like this.
This is amazing.
You know, going back to having the shark tooth lug, the original rectangular badge. It definitely gives all the flavor of the original OCDP stuff.
If I wasn't doing a throwback kit for this sphere, I would be playing this.
Yeah, kit sounds great.
Yeah, and it looks really
It looks
cool.
awesome. You can't deny. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited to bring these kits to a new generation of people. There's so many people that didn't get to see it the first time. To be able to go to, 300 stores across America and be able to pop in, see new stuff, play new stuff, get to hear it. At the Sphere, you get to hear a whole brand new, custom OCDP kit right there. Back to making it more of the cool boutique stuff that is what made it famous in the first place.
Indeed.
I think it's going to be awesome that it's going to be in Guitarcenter, because the more people get to see it than ever before and be able to play the stuff, see it, hear it. My favorite Guitarcenter store would have been the first time my parents ever brought me into Hollywood. The first thing we did when driving down Sunset was the big Guitarcenter, and my father brought me in there, and I had never seen anything like that with all the musical gear and all the stuff, and went up to the drum department, and it was just over the top. I mean, I was like 11 years old, and I was just thought it was the greatest place on earth. There was just all the drums, cymbals, and hardware, and everything you could imagine. And, there's a whole new generation of kids who will be just like that, and I think they'll find cool stuff like this to come look at and play with and enjoy it just as much as I did when I was a kid.